Okay, Board Member Tapia Romero, we are streaming, so I'm ready when you are.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, everyone. I would like to call the meeting to order. Ms. King, may I have a roll call, please?
Sorda, Ronaldo Tomorito, Heather Benavides,
I'm here.
Courtney Jackson,
Here.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Here. So
And
our
Ms.
first
Bene-
item,
Sorry, Janelle just joined.
great, thank you. Our first item for consideration is the adoption of the April 24th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting agenda. May I have a motion, please?
I move to adopt the April 24th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting agenda. This is Courtney.
And I'll second. This is Heather.
Thank you. Ms. King, may I have a roll call?
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson,
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes. So our next item is to consider approval of the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting on March 27th, 2024. May I have a motion?
I will move that we approve the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting of March 27th, 2024. This is Board Member Benavides.
I'll second. This is Courtney.
Thank you. Ms. King, may I have a roll call?
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson,
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes. So items to be considered for committee approval is going to be approval of grant budget adjustments for the following funds. So we have number one for Title III, 2023-2024. Number two for Johnson O'Malley for 23-2024. Number three for the ABC Community Partnership for 23 and 24. Number four, the ECHS flow-through funding for 23-24. Number five, the Corporation for Public Broadcasters for 23 and 24. Number six, the Corporation for Public Broadcasters Restricted for 23 and 24. And our presenters for this is Ms. Marin, our Senior Director of Grant Management. You have the floor.
Good morning. This is Rosalinda Montoya. I'll be presenting for my team today. Madam Chair, committee members, Acting Superintendent Blakey. I'm here to present the grant budget adjustments for the following funds. The first item is Title III carryover, FY 21, 22, 23, in the amount of 1.9 million. Number three is the ABC Community Partnership, which is also a multi-year carryover. Number four is the College High School, which is a new funding source that we just received for this fiscal year. So it is the initial budget for this fund. And item 2, 5, and 6 are just normal adjustments.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions? Perfect. I see no questions, so we will continue on. So our next item for consideration is the approval of permanent cash transfer requests between the operational fund and existing grant fund balances. Our presenter, I believe, is it still you, Ms. Montoya?
Yes,
Okay, I will turn it back over to you.
thank you. Consideration for approval of permanent cash transfers request between operational fund and existing grant fund balances. So in FY 23, we received an audit finding for grants, which was for unreconciled grant funds. And we have since strengthened our internal controls by requiring an annual fund balance reconciliation. This set of transactions are the result of our reconciliation. So we will bring these for your approval each year from here on out. The first 14 items were denied reimbursements for various reasons. I'll give some examples. The $12,000 amount was caused by summer school teacher timesheets being paid out of the computer science grant. The 9,666 is the CT grant, and the equipment over 5,000 form did not receive prior PED pre-approval. The $7,185 was due to school lunch copay grant claims submitted by nutrition that were deemed to be ineligible to claim. And the last item on this first page is to account for revenue received in the transportation grant fund, but the expenses hitting in the main transportation fund where the revenue will be moved with its transactions. So there's just a various reasons for that. And on the next, for the next item, I'll give it to Renette. You're on.
Perfect, thank you. So for our next item for consideration is the approval of March 2024 interfunction transfer for grant budget, and Ms. Abalaka, you'll be our presenter.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That goes back to Rosalinda.
Rosalinda, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry. Okay, so then, yeah, the interfunction transfers grant budgets. As we approach the end of the fiscal year, we're monitoring these alignments that are needed within the grants. And these are the identified items, and they're all regular transactions.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions related to this item? Okay, see no questions, so we will continue. Our next item for consideration is the approval of March 2024 intra-function transfer for all non-categorical funds. And is this Ms. Hicks, Ms. Montoya?
Yes, I'll continue.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. Similar to-
Rosalinda, I'm going to stop you real quick. I need you to speak up because people are having a hard time hearing you, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So can you hear me?
It's
No?
just low. It's just low. So speak as loud as you can, please.
I'm pretty, okay. Similar to the inter-function transfers, as we approach the end of the fiscal year, we are monitoring for any alignment needed within the grants, and these are those identified items. All these alignments throughout the year help us to prepare for the year-end close. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
thank you. Do we have any questions related to this item? Okay, I see none, so we will go ahead and continue. Our next item for consideration is the approval of March 2024 intra-fund, the approval of budget adjustment request. This is a bar. And Montoya, sorry guys, I my agenda. Who's
Crystal, I think we're losing you. Do you want me to take over until you get better service?
yes, if you can, Courtney, please.
Okay, so we're on you're on 4.6?
4.5.
4.5, okay. So the next item to consider is approval of the March 2024 intra-function transfers for all non-categorical funds. The presenter for this is Julianne Hicks, Senior Director of Budget and Strategic Planning. Ms. Hicks, I will turn it over to you.
I will continue with presenting for my team.
I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Montoya.
Consideration for approval of March 2024 intra-function transfers for all non-categorical funds. This agenda item requests the approval for non-categorical intra-function budget transfers in the amount of 1.1 million in the operational fund, 10,000 in the athletics fund, and 4.1 million in capital funds. All are normal monthly transactions and stand for any questions.
Okay, members, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on. The next item on the agenda is to consider approval of budget adjustment request to decrease fiscal year 24 SEG revenue. Ms. Montoya, you're still presenting? Yes, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Board Committee Member. This agenda item requests your approval of the $2.5 million decrease in the FY24 SEG revenue. that I mentioned in my last presentation. As a reminder, we had projected a 2% decline in K-12 program enrollment, but we actually experienced a 5% decline, causing the need to revert funding to PED. This bar initiates that transaction.
Okay. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, and also seeing Chair Tapia Romero, do you want me to turn it back over to you?
Board Member Jackson, if you don't mind, I'm on here, I'm on camera. I just don't want to be a distraction. So if you could just continue, I would appreciate it.
You got it. Okay, so moving to item 4.7, we have consideration for approval of the statement of equipment to be taken out of service for January 1st to February 29th, 2024. And sorry, I'm trying to go back and forth here. Ms. Montoya has gone off screen, so I'm assuming I now move to Mr. Brian Allison, Senior Director of Capital Fiscal Services, for this presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Blakey, I'm presenting for your consideration for approval is our statement of equipment to be taken out of service for January 1st through February 29th of 2024. This attached documentation that we provided identifies the equipment and furniture to be taken out of service for January and February of 2024 to be disposed in accordance with our New Mexico state statute. Our salvage department is in the amount of $4,731,134.89. Our technology department is in the amount of $1,481,945.59. And I stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Allison. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay. Seeing none. I just lost my script, so I'm going to move back to the next item on the agenda is to consider approval of the statement of portables to be taken out of service for March 1st through March 31st, 2024. Again, Mr. Allison, you are our presenter. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Blakey, I am presenting for consideration of your approval is our statement of portables to be taken out of service for March 1st through the 31st of 2024. This identifies the portables in March 2024 to be disposed according to our New Mexico state statute, and I stand for questions.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll move to item 4.9. Our next item for consideration is approval of termination of the fleet service contract for Herrera School Buses, Inc. Our presenter for this is Royce Binns, Executive Director of Transportation Services. Mr. Binns.
Good morning, Board President, members of the board, and Superintendent Blakey. Albuquerque Public Schools Transportation Services is requesting a non-renewal of the fleet service contract for Herrera Bus Company for the school year 24-25. The request is for non-renewal of the contract and has to go in front of the board per the contract for approval. And I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Binns. Are there any questions from the committee?
Board Member Jackson, can I add to this real quick? Can you hear me?
Please. Yes.
Great. So just for everybody to know, just additional information on this, because I know last time we spoke that we were limited on drivers or, being able to pick up additional routes. After talking to Mr. Binns and the rest of the team, they did confirm that we will be able to add the addition. If there's going to be any challenges on our end, and we'll be able to have seamless routes and continuation of services. So I just wanted to add that clarification for everyone since we are ending that contract. Thank you, Board Member Jackson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Tapia Romero. Are there any other additions or questions to this item? No? Okay, so our next item for consideration is approval of district purchases or expenditures that equal or exceed $500,000. The first one is for investigative services, and the presenter for this will be Charlotte Gensler, Executive Director of Procurement, and Heather Cowan, Director, Equal Opportunity Services and Title IX.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Acting Superintendent Dr. Blakey. I'm here to ask for your consideration and approval for the procurement of investigative services. This would be a multi-award procurement. It is based upon an RFP and it's utilizing operational funds, and the estimated cost is $500,000 for 4 years. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gensler. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll move to the second part of this of 4.10. It's for the purchase of services and associated fees for officiating athletics, contests, and events in the state of New Mexico. Ms. Gensler, I will turn it back to you, as well as Mr. Adrian Ortega, Senior Director of Athletics Department, and Daniel Leba, Director of the Athletics Department.
Thank you, Member Jackson. I'm here to ask for your consideration and approval for the procurement of officiating athletic contests and events in the state of New Mexico. The award would be to NMA, NMOA, and the associated official associations. It's for a 6-year contract. It's utilizing operational funds. The estimated amount is $4,572,000, and it is a sole source procurement. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gensler. Are there any questions on this item? Okay, seeing none, I will move to the last item. Our next item for consideration is approval of the March 2024 cash disbursements. Ms. Gensler, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you, Member Jackson. Madam Chair, members of the board, Acting Superintendent Dr. Blakey, I'm here to present your consideration and approval of the cash disbursements for March 2024, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gensler. Are there any questions from the committee? No? Okay, thank you. So I will move to action items, item 5.1. Our next item is to consider recommending consent agenda board approval for the items discussed during the April 24th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting. Those include grant budget adjustments, permanent cash transfer requests between the operational fund and existing grant fund balances, interfunction and intra-function transfers, budget adjustment requests to decrease fiscal year 24 SEG revenue, statement of equipment to be taken out of service for January to February 2024, statement of portables to be taken out of service for March 2024, termination of fleet service contract with Herrera School Buses, Inc., direct purchases or expenditures that equal or exceed $500,000, and the March 2024 cash disbursement. May I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve or that we recommend consent agenda board approval of items discussed during the April 2024 Finance Committee meeting, including grant budget adjustments, permanent cash transfer requests between the operational fund and existing grant fund balances, interfunction and intrafunction transfers, budget adjustment requests to decrease FY 24 SEG revenue, statement of equipment to be taken out of service for January through February 2024, statement of portables to be taken out of service for March 2024, termination of fleet service contract Herrera School Buses Incorporated, district purchases or expenditures that equal or exceed $500,000, and March 2024 cash disbursements. This is Board Member Benavides.
Thank you, and may I have a second?
This is Board Member Astorga. I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. King, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson,
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next Finance Committee meeting will be Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024 at 8 a.m. virtually. You can watch on the APS Board of Education YouTube channel. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry about this.
Thank
Yeah.
you.